Its adoption of House Resolution 189, the House has resolved that Representative Al Green be censured, that Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and that Representative Al Green be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. The House has come to order. The House has come to order. What's that?
You want to let him keep doing this, or totally clear?
The House has come to order. Clear the well, please. Clear the well. The House has to continue its business.
And if you want to clear a recess, you can do that too. And the mic's on.
Just say the House is in recess. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the House will stand in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Well, that is a pretty dramatic development there, Wolf. We had expected the House to actually go into have another vote in the aftermath of this one. So we'll see what the Speaker ultimately tries to do with this protest that is now breaking out on the House floor of some members of the House Democratic Caucus singing "We Shall Overcome" in the aftermath of this. But this is clearly divided some elements of the Democratic Party. That we saw 10 Democrats voting with Republicans to ultimately approve this measure. 224 to 198 was the vote to censure Al Green, which essentially is a public admonition. It's a way to say that the House disapproves of an action of a specific member. It really doesn't go beyond that. It used to be very rare that the House would take such an action, really only in the most egregious of offenses. But in recent years, it's becoming used much more commonly. In the aftermath of what Al Green did on the House floor, Republicans made clear that they wanted to punish Al Green for his extended outbursts and ultimate removal from the House floor during Donald Trump's address to Congress. But we'll see if the Speaker decides to do anything else to these Democrats who are now speaking out, or they're chanting, it seems, on the House floor, if they're ultimately removed, or if the Speaker decides to take any action on them as well. Guys.
Very interesting.
I'm going to take a closer look at those 10 Democrats who voted
I was just thinking that.
To censure their fellow Democrat, Al Green of Texas.
Yeah, because I would think Monty Raju, I think we just lost him, but I'd like to know historically, you were talking about it used to be extraordinarily rare, not so much in the last recent years, but how rare is it for a member of the person being censured's own party to vote with the other side like this?
You know, that has happened sometimes in recent history, but typically these things have gone down, at least in the last couple of years, have gone down mostly along party lines. Sometimes people may break ranks, especially ones in difficult districts. One person who did vote to censure Al Green right now is Marcy Kaptur. She's a veteran Ohio Democrat, someone who's actually in a swing district, so that tells you something there. Another one, Jared Moskowitz, a more moderate member of the House Democratic Caucus. He voted to censure Al Green. Another one, Jim Himes of Connecticut, perhaps not as progressive as some of the members who were actually engaging in some of that protest that was happening here. But the larger issue here, though, is the debate within the Democratic Party over how exactly to express themselves as the opposition to Donald Trump at this key moment. In that, during the speech, the Democratic leaders did not want their members to engage on things what Al Green was doing. They did not want people to hold up signs. That was the message that came from Hakeem Jeffries himself to his Democrats, and progressives in particular did not listen to that advice. They wanted to show that they were fighting for Donald Trump, and they wanted the public to know that as well. And clearly Al Green didn't take that advice also. We'll see what he ultimately says when he comes out of this censure vote. But before this vote, Pamela and Wolf, he said, "I'm prepared to suffer the consequences of his actions." So he has really no regrets for what he did, and he said he would do it again.
Let's talk about this and more with Democratic Congressman Dan Goldman of New York. He sits on the House Homeland Security Committee. I know you voted not to censure him, Congressman. What went into your decision?
Well, first of all, the Republicans have rendered censure to be totally meaningless by using it at every opportunity. It also is just entirely separate and apart from what we should be doing. How is censuring Al Green helping to lower the cost of eggs? How is it reducing inflation? how is it increasing unemployment? How is it reducing housing costs? It's not. The Republicans are doing meaningless stuff on the floor, and it is ultimately hurting Americans. What we should be talking about is all the lies that Donald Trump told on Tuesday night. How he brought in a cancer survivor while he's cutting cancer research. How he brought in the wife of a slain officer while he is pardoning others who were convicted for assaulting officers. How he lied about Ukraine aid. How he lied about Social Security. How he lied about so many different things. That's what he's doing. That he is gaslighting the American people. And what I wish we were talking about is not how the Democrats oppose what Donald Trump did, but the terrible lies and policies that Donald Trump is pushing through and the complete ineptitude and powerlessness that the House Republicans are showing.
This morning, House Republicans and 10 Democrats voted to censure one of your Democratic colleagues, Al Green, for disrupting Trump's address to Congress. You voted in favor of censuring your Democratic colleague. Why?
Well, many years ago, I voted in favor of censuring or disapproving of Joe Wilson because he shouted, "You lie." It was just a very brief interruption. It was profoundly disrespectful to then President Obama. I'm sure that I could construct some convoluted way, and I would say, oh, well, President Trump is so much worse than Barack Obama and blah, blah, blah. You know what? I don't mind being one of 10 Democrats who said, no, there's a deeper principle at stake here, which is reverence for this institution. And when somebody disrupts the institution, particularly in a moment as important, and look, you know, I have no love for Donald Trump, but I do have reverence for the office of the president. In the military, they salute the uniform. They don't salute the man or the woman in the uniform. And just think about where this leads. If we defend that behavior at the next State of the Union, you know, when there's a Democratic president in the Senate, people will start standing up and obstructing that speech until there can be no speech. So I feel very, very strongly that at some point we need to stand up and say, as horrified as we may be by Donald Trump or by Barack Obama or by Joe Biden, we act with decorum and with the civility that says to the world that we are a serious country. What you saw, by the way, as much on the Republican side at the State of the Union address, and yes, Al Green, was a country that is not being serious about governing itself. We have nuclear weapons. We're the most powerful economy in the world. We need to start telling the world that we are serious people, and we're telling them the exact opposite with the behavior that we saw in the speech the other night.